Welcome, everyone, to the first show of 2016. Welcome, everyone, to Jamie's Sideline Podcast with your host, Jamie Messner, and your beautiful co-host, Lori.
Hello.
Let's get started with the playoff football talk, because goodness knows I got a lot to say. Now, we promised you that Furcon, the Blab CTO, would come on to the show. And we keep delaying it. Unfortunately, we have to delay it at least one more week due to the fact that Furcon is a busy man and has to go visit family. So family comes first.
Yes.
All right. But anyways, as my philosophy goes, the show must go on, or in my case, the podcast must go on. I'd like to give a shout out to people watching from my school before we get into this. I would like to give a shout out to my school resource officer, Dave, my security guard, Tony, and my security guard, Louie. So hope you guys are having a good night. Hope you guys are watching the show and loving it. Let's get into it. All right. So last week, there's a couple games that I wanted to get into. Not very much because we do want to talk about this week, obviously. But last week,
We had Christmas happen here.
Was there a lot of, upsets? Was there a lot of let's say questionable things happening? First thing I wanted to get to, obviously, diehard Steelers fan. I'm trying to stay on bias here. I usually want to keep this a PG show, and I'm going to try and do that tonight.
You don't have to this week.
But I have to say something. The way that game played out, okay, the Bengals and Steelers, those Bengal fans are the most disgusting pieces of human trash I have ever seen in a football field, okay? And not to offend anybody from Cincinnati, I bet you're great people, okay? But those are the most disgusting human beings I have ever seen in a football field. Many examples why, okay? And this is going to get a little bit heated on my part because I watched that game from the beginning. Vontaze Burfict, I can't even pronounce his name. But anyways, Vontaze, he takes a shot directly at Ben Roethlisberger's shoulder. Ben Roethlisberger goes down with an injury. He tore ligaments in his throwing shoulder. After this play happened and the injury ensued, the disgusting scum of fan that was the Cincinnati Bengals fan at that stadium began to throw debris such as water bottles at Ben Roethlisberger as he was getting carted off. And they also began to start cheering his injury. Okay, I get it. It's a rivalry game. Things are going to happen. People are going to say things, But this is all the game of football. We all bond at one common thing. We love us some football. I don't care if it's the Steelers versus Ravens. I don't care if it's the Green Bay Packers versus the Bears. You should never, and I mean never, do that to the opposing team. You are there. You paid a ticket. You're allowed to boo them. You're allowed to curse at them. But don't go as far as to cheer their injury and start throwing debris at them. Those fans should never be allowed to see another game at Paul Brown Stadium. Those fans shouldn't even be allowed, in my opinion, to ever go 50 feet near that stadium. Because here's one thing. The security guards should have handled that right away. Right away. They should have saw that. They should have been like, what are you doing? And they should have escorted them out. Now, that would have been the right course of action. But no. The PA announcer decides to get on the intercom and tell them, calm down, everybody. Calm down. Of course they're not going to calm down. If they're throwing crap at him and they're cheering at his injury, why would you think that they would calm him down? Like, why? Why would you think that would work? That's like someone going up to someone who's about to commit some crime and say, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. It's ridiculous. They should have escorted him out right away. But anyways, Ben Roethlisberger questionable to play this Sunday against the Denver Broncos. Also, Antonio Brown is also questionable. Ben Roethlisberger is day-to-day. We don't know much about Antonio Brown's condition. All we know is that he will probably be missing a game or two because we haven't discussed they haven't discussed if he had passed the concussion test or failed it or what his results were. But anyways, first game I wanted to get into of this week. I just had to ramble on. I was waiting all week for that.
You needed it. You needed it. I recognized it. You needed it.
I was waiting all week for that. It was boiling up inside, and I just had to. All right. So first game we have on the agenda, Chiefs versus the Patriots. The Chiefs dominated the Texans last week to eliminate them from the wild card spot. The Patriots have been a dominating force all year. Lori, what is your prediction for this game?
The Chiefs by 5.
I will agree with you and say the Chiefs by 6, by a touchdown. Another game I wanted to get into, a game that I'm sure Lori has been itching to talk about this week. That is the Packers and Cardinals at Arizona. What are your thoughts on this game? What's the points scored? Who's going to win?
Well, seeing that if it is seen that we don't come out of the gate as we did last week's game when I was that first quarter I was really kind of cussing.
Yeah.
So, after the beginning of that game, guess who, as I'm talking about that game, did you see who jumped in the room?
Yeah. As we're talking about that game, good old buddy John has jumped in.
Oh, I know which.
All I'd gotten to say was first quarter.
Hey, it's totally fine. It's okay.
Welcome, good old buddy John, to the show. He hasn't been on such a long time. This feels like a family reunion now. It feels like the crew is back together.
I know it's been crazy.
So, Green Bay and Cardinals. So you're going Green Bay or Cardinals?
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay, but I want to talk about the Green Bay Washington game.
Okay.
That's fine. What do you want to talk about?
You know, I was cursing and I was cussing and I was on the floor and in the chair and up the wall all during the first quarter.
Yeah, because it was fine. We scored a safety. We played pretty well.
Oh, yeah. You did really, really well. And then what happened?
Well, here's the thing. So in that first quarter / first part of the second quarter, Kirk Cousins did not feel any pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Jackson was still able to run down the field. Second quarter, you locked him up. You locked Deshaun up, so you took the top, you put the lid on the defense, and then Clay Matthews got past our backups.
Yes.
Keyword there, and just hit the snot out of Kirk, which frazzles him. It's the first time he's been hit in 8 weeks, probably.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, 2 months after getting, destroyed, after standing upright, I think you
Starting
were
to
pretty
feel comfortable.
Yeah, so he didn't feel comfortable. And then, I won't talk about the penalties that should have been called against your team on the goal line about 2 or 3 times. On both plays, you scored touchdowns in which they should not have been even plays to begin with because of illegal formations and holding. Don't even. Oh.
But 2 touchdowns? If I don't recall the score, 2 touchdowns would have still given us the win.
At the time when those touchdowns happened, no, we were still in the football game.
Yeah, but if you take away 2 touchdowns, we would have still won.
Yes, but if you take away the 2 touchdowns at the time that they happened during the game, we would have been in the game.
I see what you're saying.
Because it happened. One happened in the second.
To the Green Bay Cardinals game, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Green Bay Cardinals. So
Green Bay is going to get their ass handed to them. So here it is. I'm just going to give it because Arizona is just going to flat out destroy Green Bay.
Well, I certainly hope not.
You couldn't stop Kirk Cousins. You couldn't stop Kirk Cousins and a D list of receivers.
Stop Kirk Cousins. We did stop Kirk Cousins.
For 2 quarters, you couldn't stop him. And you're a Hail Mary away from being 3-7 your last 10 games before the game against us. Exactly.
Siri was speaking.
You have to resort to Siri for your information.
Once or twice. I will admit it. But
okay, so what's the margin? You say absolutely destroyed. But
how badly are they going to destroy? I say Green Bay's going to take it by 5, but
Arizona by 14.
I will match that and say Arizona by 14 as well. Arizona's the all-around better team.
Well, we'll see you back here next week to discuss it.
In your face, Lori. It's okay. You guys squandered into the playoffs somehow, some way.
So I'm moving past that because I have to give I'm sorry, but wait, did Lori give her prediction or did I?
Yeah, I said Green Bay was going to take that by 5.
Okay, because I wanted to make sure I didn't stomp over anybody. But I just have to say this, John. You missed my little mini rant, but we're going to talk about the Steelers and Broncos game. Now, you missed my little mini rant about last week, but to summarize and to keep this lightly, to keep this clean, because this is a family show and I try and keep it as family as possible. Cincinnati fans, those Cincinnati fans are the most disgusting pieces of human scum I have ever seen in a football game. Okay, and I was saying this as well. I was saying that basically, no matter, I know the rivalry is heated, but basically, no matter what rivalry it is, you should never cheer another player's injury. You should also never throw stuff at them as they're getting carted off the field. And you should also never snap someone's neck back intentionally. Okay? Because that hit was intentional. Okay? You can tell as you see the replay that the force of momentum that he came at Antonio Brown with was intentional. Some people come to Burfitt's defense and say that it was the speed of the game, it was the momentum. Do you agree with that statement? I won't be mad if you say yes, but I will be deeply disappointed.
All right, so I'm not going to say that Burfitt is right, and I'm not going to say he's wrong, because if you think about what he did, he's going across the middle, and Burfitt was going to lay the wood on whoever came over the middle. It just so happened to be the star receiver, in which Antonio Brown was reaching up for the football and had to come back down to the ground. And as he's coming down and lowers his head, it just so happened, now I'm not defending Burfitt for it, but it just so happened that his head was in the realm of Burfitt's shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, at least it's not helmet to helmet, but it's still a play on a defenseless receiver with your shoulder, which is still not allowed. But, I mean, it shouldn't have necessarily – it's a penalty because it's the letter of the law, but I probably would not have.
Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say before going into the segue and making predictions for the Broncos game. This is the last thing I'm going to say about next week or last week.
I have one thing to add about last week as well, but you go first, Jamie.
So obviously, like I said before, rivalries are going to get heated and fans are going to do crazy things. But you should never resort to doing those things to an injured player. But also, I was listening to Pittsburgh Sports Radio this morning, I think it was, or a couple mornings ago, and they had DeCastro on, David DeCastro. And David DeCastro had come on to the show, and they asked him about Vontaze Burfitt and how he plays. His specific quote was, he plays very rough to the point where it's almost disgusting. And he had told them specifically that when David DeCastro was on the ground, Vontaze Burfitt spit in his face. Now, obviously a player can say anything to another player, but when David DeCastro was down on the ground, you could tell that Vontaze Burfitt was near his vicinity. So he either said something to him that was profanity or derogatory, or he spit in his face. Now, spitting in the face, this isn't the first time something like that has happened in an NFL game. Now, whether that's true or not, the way the fans treated the Steelers and the way the Bengals treated the Steelers overall goes beyond the football field, and that should never go like that in a professional game.
What about how the Steelers treated the Bengals? Because you're leaving out one key thing there, Jamie. First of all, I want to call out all Steeler fans because you are pieces of garbage. Maybe not you, Jamie, but there are a bunch of garbage Steeler fans that every time a Cincinnati player fell to the ground and had to be helped off the field, there were cheers.
Yes.
Steeler fans are the worst fans in the world. Reggie Nelson, gruesome injury in the first quarter. Every Steeler fan that I was with at the time just was celebrating like no other. You cannot celebrate an injury. Two, the Steelers, for David DeCastro, he probably said something a couple of times before Burfitt spit in his face, because Burfitt is smart enough that he's not just going to spit without someone saying something. He's the kind of guy that's reactionary. You do something to him, he's going to do something back. Same thing with Pac-Man Jones. You're going to do something to him, he's going to do something back. They're not going to go out of their way to do something first.
Yeah, I'm going to say this though. I'm saying as a Steeler fan, I'm going to have to swallow my pride a little bit and say that you are absolutely right. There is some caliber. I'm not saying all Steelers fans because I would never do this. There are some.
And Joey Porter's a piece of poop.
There are some caliber.
That man should get fired.
There are some caliber of Steelers fans that need to get a dose of act right and just shut up. Like there's some, and I'll even admit that. I'll even say there's some Steelers fans out there that need to just shut their mouth and just watch the football game. Like, okay, but here's the thing as well. All right. So obviously,
what, the Joey Porter's a piece of poop?
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna tell me?
Obviously, I was gonna get into the Joey Porter situation. He should have never gotten onto the field. He should have never, even if the Bengals player got pushed, which he did get pushed, he didn't intentionally go over there to try and hurt Joey Porter. But he should have never been able to get that close to the player. Never should that have ever happened. And
Joey Porter was the reason the Steelers won.
And as a result of that, the Steelers, Mike Tomlin has officially come out and said the Steelers have banned Joey Porter from talking to all media sources coming in.
That's a problem, Jamie. Banning him from talking to the media does nothing, because guess what he can still do next week on the field? He can still walk out there because he is tending to an injured player, so he can still go out on the field. He just can't talk to you. He just can't tell you why he did it.
I'm not saying I wasn't defending him. I was saying that
it's called a cover-up.
I'm saying that was a disgusting play and that should have never been able to pass by. But I'm also saying there's a lot of plays on both sides that should have never been allowed to pass by. There's a lot of fans on the Bengals side of the, obviously at Paul Brown Stadium, majority of them were Bengals fans. But some of those fans should have been immediately escorted out of the game, along with the Steelers fans, because I can tell you that there are a disgusting part of Steeler Nation that should not be allowed to do that sort of stuff.
So all of Steelers Nation.
I'm not saying all, because I am part of Steeler Nation. I consider myself part of them. I would never do that. But that's just me. All right. So let's segue in.
He was the reason they won the game. They shouldn't have won the football game. Joey Porter was the reason the Steelers won.
Okay.
If Joey Porter didn't draw that foul, the Bengals would have won, and the Bengals would be going to Denver. Or the Bengals would be going to New York.
I will agree with you on that. But let's segue real quick prediction into the Broncos and Steelers game. Now, a lot of questions going into this game. Will Ben Roethlisberger be healthy enough to go? Will Antonio Brown be healthy enough to go? And obviously, also Mike D'Angelo Williams. I almost said Mike for some reason. Mike DeAngelis for some reason. D'Angelo Williams, he's obviously day by day, just like Ben Roethlisberger and things like that. Will Ben Roethlisberger be healthy enough to go? And what's your prediction?
Ladies first.
I don't think he'll be healthy enough to go.
So he won't be healthy enough to go. So as a result, will Steelers win or lose football game? By how many?
By how many? I think the Steelers are going to lose by 5.
5's your lucky number.
5 is my number today. After what Redskins did it with 5.
So John, now the bet's on your table. Who's going to walk out?
Oh, Roethlisberger is going to play, but he's not going to be good. The dude couldn't throw the ball 5 yards down the field at the end of the Cincinnati game. He was struggling to do that, but he's a fighter, and I think he'll be out there for the playoff game. If he doesn't go, I'll be really surprised. But whether if he plays or doesn't, it doesn't mean anything because they're going to be without Le'Veon Bell, probably without D'Angelo Williams. They're going to rely on Fitzgerald Toussaint. Martavis Bryant, hey, where have you been throughout
He's
the
shown
playoffs?
things.
Hey, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's out. He's done. He's toast. He's fried.
I can say that Toussaint has shown a little bit of light. I'm not saying he's the best thing since sliced bread, because obviously
you could say the same thing about D'Angelo Williams. D'Angelo Williams isn't good either.
But he has shown glimpses of light, or else he wouldn't be on the team.
Yeah, a light that's flickering. That's like nothing.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm not fully agreeing.
That's true.
All right.
Denver's going to win. It doesn't matter.
All right, Denver's going to win. All right, so obviously I am going to go with Steelers, but it's going to be another nail biter again. It's probably going to be 3 points. Again, it's going to come down to a field goal. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, another question that I wanted to ask you. Obviously, Peyton Manning, in his postseason career, I mean, stats don't necessarily mean anything, but also at the same token, stats don't lie. Peyton Manning hasn't been doing very well in his postseason career. He does way better in the regular season than he does in the postseason. Now, my next question is, what Peyton Manning will show up? And if Peyton Manning is dog poop next week, then will they put Osweiler into the game?
If he's poop, they're putting Osweiler in the game probably in the third quarter or start of the second half, depending upon how Peyton plays. But Peyton's going to be ready to go. You know, if you saw what he did at the end of last week, or 2 weeks ago now because they had a bye, he played really well. Rest does a lot for a guy like Peyton. And I think he'll come out firing. And I think having Peyton and the weapons is better than a hurtless burger and a depleted Pittsburgh Steelers team.
I gotta take my headphones off for that one. I gotta take my headphones. I'm not disagreeing. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not disagreeing.
It's hurtless burger.
But I gotta take my headphones off. All I gotta do is shake my head.
It's Ben freaking Hurtlesberger, Jamie.
All right.
It's come true again.
All right. Well,
Peyton's gonna have his game going.
Okay, so I'm obviously outnumbered here. Obviously. So that is okay because you know what? You know what they say. Anything can happen. So we'll see. You're probably right. But you can always hope. You always gotta hope for things to happen. But anyways, I wanted to also get into before we go too long because I don't want to go too long. But before we go,
you're at a half hour.
Yeah, I keep on a time schedule.
All right. So keep going.
You've been out of the loop.
All right.
Sorry, life comes first.
Yeah, that's what I always say, right? I wanted to talk about the relocation for just a little bit. So obviously, the Rams next year are moving to LA. Obviously, we know that, all right? Now, the Chargers have jumped on the Los Angeles bandwagon and have said they're looking at the stadium, the floor plans. They're looking at everything on the stadium to see how their team would work in that stadium. Do you think, and my question is for John and Lori, and then I'll give my answer. Do you think the Chargers will join the Rams and hop on that Los Angeles bandwagon and head out west?
It's really complicated, Jamie. It's a lot.
I was going to say
because no, go ahead, Laura.
I was going to say that there's a lot at stake that we don't see in making those decisions?
So the Chargers have two options. The Chargers can either agree to be a part of the stadium build out in Inglewood, California, and if that's the case, the problem here, if they're going to join the team, then they have equity in the stadium. If they have equity in the stadium, they can make a lot of money, but they're going to have operating costs and things of that nature that go into having and owning a stadium with the campus that they're going to build around it.
Yeah.
They could also lease from the Rams, and if they lease from the Rams ownership, the Chargers have no control over the stadium. The Chargers have no input or say about what happens where. So it will be a Rams-centric designed stadium.
Obviously.
Nothing to do with the Chargers, but the Chargers would have no operating costs. The Chargers would not be paying to operate a stadium, but they lose out on profit.
There's questions behind the scenes that obviously we don't see. Now, I might put this up as a poll on Twitter, but I wanted to get it straight from you guys. One quick question real quick. Do you guys yourselves, and do you think, besides the people of Los Angeles, that anybody else gives a crap about the Rams moving?
Yes. And we got emphatic yes over here.
Jamie, everyone in sports media wants this move because LA, one of the biggest markets in the nation, for them to go with a football team for 22 years or 21 years. So it makes no sense. They're going to make a shoot ton of money. I was gonna say, but it's a family show.
PG show, man. PG.
I know. I caught myself, so I'm pretty good. But yeah, no, it's literally the best thing ever because now LA back in the sports scene. And you're telling me, Jamie, you're not going to want to visit that stadium when it opens in 3 years?
But here's the thing, guys. Here's
you give us your deal.
What's up? Oh,
we're waiting.
The thing about it is the Rams haven't had a football. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't had a football team since like the 70s. Is that correct?
Los Angeles?
Yeah.
94.
Okay, so I was way off. But anyways, that's still a large margin of years. Most of people of LA don't know what it's like to grow up with a football team. So even, do you think that kids like my age will still care? Or
oh yeah,
yes, they all care.
Football's coming to their hometown. That means it's a lot easier for them to go to a game. Yeah, they probably admire the game on TV, and they're like, "Oh, I wish we could go to."
But I'll go because I don't have to fly anywhere.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, we have to go to San Diego or Oakland or San Francisco." Well, no, you don't. Not anymore. You can just stay in LA. And the experience to go along with all of it, Jamie, is going to be worth way more than what they make from the actual football games. That's the whole kicker in this deal, is that it's going to be open for Olympic venues.
True.
They're going to build a new NFL Network campus. They're going to build another wing of the Hall of Fame out there. I mean, they're going to have so many opportunities to make so much money out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you think we will see another Ramit song? Does anybody remember that when they were really good and they went to the Super? No, that was just me, I guess.
Jamie, this is just the first. You stumped the boat.
Jamie, were you alive when they went to the Super Bowl?
No, but I remember seeing the song, and I should post it so you guys can watch it. But I will do that.
I was 5 years old.
Show. I will.
What year?
98 or 99.
Oh, I was an adult.
You were? Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I think you still are.
No, I mean, I was like 19.
No. I was 5 or 6.
I know. You guys relatively give me a hard time about being the old
I
lady.
did not give you a hard time. I did not say anything about your age. I just said I was 6 years old at the time.
This is the song. If anybody cares, I will post it after the show. But it is a funny song, and you will laugh. Just so you know. But I think we've reached the end of the first episode of 2016. Let's all give ourselves a round of applause for that one. We have made it to 2016, and there will be more Jamie's Sideline podcast to come. Believe me, we'll get some great special guests on here. We're planning some huge things. So, yeah, and hopefully, because I learned not to promise anything, because if I promise and then it doesn't happen, people will get mad. But
Yeah, Jamie, I'm mad.
I hope that Furcon will come on next week. We'll have to see. But I can't promise like I did last time, because last time I promised karma.
I think Furcon's just ignoring me because he owes me some stuff for the Blab League Fantasy Football Championship that I won.
All right. So on that note, any final words?
Thank you for watching the replay.
Thank you for watching the replay, for all the replay viewers.
Let's go Arizona. Let's go Denver. Let's go New England.
Let's go Steelers.
Let's go Green Bay.